Hello and welcome to Leeds Trinity University, where we are joined by our brand new Chancellor, Deborah McAndrew. Deborah, it's a pleasure to meet you. What made you go for this position?
Well, in the first instance, I was asked, which was very lovely and a great surprise. And then I obviously I had knowledge and connections to Leeds Trinity University, because when I was in high school in Leeds at Cardinal Heenan High School, I used to come here in the early mid 1980s, further longer ago than I care to mention. So it's always been kind of on the landscape of my memory and my imagination. So it was lovely to be approached to take up the position of Chancellor. And then the more that I sort of looked into the recent advances that Leeds Trinity University has made and its mission statement and its vision, I just thought, oh yeah, that's a good fit for me. That felt very, very much in keeping with my feelings and thoughts about education and about just about how education should prepare young people for the world, really. And so it was a very happy thing for me to be able to say, yes, please, I'd love to.
And what do you think you can bring to the role?
Oh, I don't know. Enthusiasm, probably. I tend to bring that quite a lot to most things. Enthusiasm and just a general interest, really. And I suppose a heritage that's based in Leeds, a background that's based in the area, so a knowledge of the area, Roman Catholic faith and upbringing, and an interest and a background in education as well. And I've maintained a connection to education. I've been a teacher at Staffordshire University, guest lecturing in universities, also working in primary schools, high schools, all kinds of projects, really, because I've had a portfolio career, really, as an actor, a writer, and as an educator. So I hope that there'll be kind of lots of happy connections, making my life and my work experience be a good fit for the university.
It must be good being the Chancellor of Leeds University, as obviously you are a local, aren't you? You've lived in Ossett, you were a Leeds born also, so it must be good to stick to your roots.
I grew up in Leeds. I went through the Catholic education system here in Leeds. I went to high school at Cardinal Heenan, which is just down the road, really. So it's always been, and I've maintained connections with Leeds. My family still live here. I come back here a lot. My work tours to Leeds. I've got a play coming to West Yorkshire Playhouse in May on tour. So there's lots of connections here. So lots of good reasons to be in Leeds anyway, as well as visiting the university.
So you mentioned a play. How did you get into all that?
Well, how does anything happen to you, really? You just, I was passionately interested in drama as a young person. I found it really, I don't have any showbiz in the family. There's no background to it. First generation showbiz, me. So it was all a bit new and a bit unknown, really. And it took me a little while to kind of find my place in showbiz but actually make that balance between working in the business, being an actor and a writer and a playwright, and also having kind of a real life as well. But I came to it because I loved it, and then I discovered that I didn't have to do English at university. I could do drama. It wasn't like drama school. And gradually, you just take each next step that comes along and find yourself. You sort of end up, really. And right now, I'm here on this sofa, and this is the end point of 50 years of work and experience.
What I found really interesting, is your transition from being a teacher, obviously, into the world of acting. How did that all go about?
It was all by accident. Most things in my life have been a kind of happy accident of some kind, or an unhappy accident. But you just kind of, I don't know, you just respond and go, oh, this is what's happening. So I finished my degree. I'd always had an interest in education, particularly in drama and special education. I was very interested in special education. And so I went and did a PGCE at Bretton Hall in drama and special education, but maintained my links with Manchester University and the drama department there. And I had been seen in plays and things by casting directors based in Manchester at the time, just because they come to the uni to see stuff, or they did. And a little part came up on Corrie. And I'd finished my teacher training, I got my qualification, and I was in and ahhing about whether I should give acting, or just give it 5 years. I thought, give it 5 years. This was nearly 30 years ago. I'd give it 5 years and see how it goes. And I could be a teacher, and I enjoy teaching, but I'll just give it a go. and I got the part on Corrie.
When
and
you
that was
got
kind of
that,
the beginning.
when you got that part from Corrie, when you got that phone call, I'm guessing it must have been life-changing.
Yes, I guess it was, but at the time you don't think so because it was only a 3-month contract and basically all I saw was my overdraft, really.
Okay.
And I thought, oh yeah, great, 3 months on Corrie, I'll pay my overdraft off, that'll be good. And then I'll go into the theatre and then I'll start to kind of build some kind of career, but you never can make a plan, really. But after 3 months, they renewed my contract. The character was useful. They liked writing for me. So I ended up staying for 3 years, which was a little bit too long, but that was because of the way that contracts worked. And at the end of that 3 years, I left, went into the theatre and started working in the theatre then. I went back briefly in 97, which was a practical reason because I'd met my husband by then. And I met my husband in 95, 97. We could do with getting a house. He said, Deb, because they kept asking me to go back, and he said, Deb, if you would just go back for a few months, you could get a deposit for a house and they'd give you a mortgage because it would be like a proper job, because you never have a proper job. I've never really had a proper job. So I did. I went back for a spell in 97, got my deposit and got my little house. So it's about mixing up the practicalities with the realities. And I was always writing and wanting to be a writer, you know, with this kind of really academic background, really. And I do like sitting in a room making stuff up and being, you know, in that quiet place. And so when our daughter was born in 2001, I made that decision. I couldn't tour. I wanted to be at home with her. I couldn't tour. I couldn't work as an actor in the theatre really anymore. A lot of that happens. And also, to be honest, as an actor, there ain't much between Juliet and the nurse. Do you know what I'm saying? Once you've packed in for the Jubilees, you've got to wait for anything half decent comes up, unless you're a big star, which I wasn't. So and didn't particularly want to be, and I didn't like the fame thing. I wasn't comfortable. Yeah, you know, I thought and I love writing, and writing was actually what I did always. You know, when I was at school, I wrote plays we did at school. You know, I wrote shows and things. So it was always a thing that I did, and so I just completely focused on that. And you need to focus on it to make any success of writing. You've really got to be quite disciplined, and you've got to churn out a lot of pages before it starts to get any good, and before you start to kind of put things out there that other people might want to be interested in. And you've got to enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it,
that's the main thing. Yeah.
You never know if it's going to come to anything. So they've got to be happy days.
Yeah. So you've done a lot of work with young people and stuff as well. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I've done a lot of work with education, really. And it's always been a bit of a mix. It's about what's come along, really. So I've done a lot of teaching, mainly at Staffordshire University in the drama department there, because I live in North Staffordshire. Teaching playwriting, teaching documentary theatre, teaching Shakespeare. I've also done a lot of work in primary schools. There was an initiative in the early 2000s called Creative Partnerships, which got artists to go in and partner with teachers to deliver programmes of work in primary schools. And because of my teacher training background, I know how to do a scheme of work. Oh yes, you know, I was taught how to do that. So mixing that up with my artistic practice and my educational practice to deliver primary school pieces. And then I've also done work in high schools, and I've done Shakespeare workshops and all kinds of things. And then last year I was author in residence for the National Literacy Trust in a high school in North Staffordshire as well. So I developed short plays with a bunch of high school kids, which was really great and really enjoyable. So very much a mix, you know. You just go, oh, okay, what's that then? And I like doing different things. It's never kind of static anyway. It's always something different coming up.
As I know, you went to university in Manchester. Will that experience help you in this new position, do you think?
I think I was the first person in my family to go to university, and I know that there are a lot of first generation undergraduates here as well at Leeds Trinity University. So that's a good I suppose a good link. You know, it is quite different when you're the pioneer, really, when you haven't got, your parents don't know how to advise you, they've never been, they don't know what it's all about. So perhaps that will be a thing. But, you know, I just know how great it is to be an undergraduate. It is great fun. It's a time of growth. It's a time of change. It's a time for making mistakes, you know, and hopefully kind of getting past them. And that's okay, you know, be kind to yourself, really. And then there's an uncertainty as well, and there's lots of kind of difficult challenges about being a student as well. And I've done all that. I know how that feels. So I suppose in that sense, you know, it's always applicable, isn't it?
Yeah. So one thing Leeds Trinity is working on at the moment is like increasing diversity. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I mean, that's one of the things about the mission statement and the vision of the university that I really liked, that it had a commitment to developing a diverse community with respect for everyone, you know, all people, whatever their background, whatever their religious faith, whatever their, you know, their anything about them really, and that absolutely is at the centre of my values as well, and it's wonderful to be connected to a university that has that front and centre of what they believe.
It was a pleasure speaking to you today. Thank you very much for your time, and we wish you the best of luck
Thank you.
in your new position.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.